At 5:42 a.m. on August 4, 1944, Sergeant Thomas Caldwell crouched inside a rain barrel 150 yards from German lines near St. Lo, watching 80 German soldiers assemble in the pre-dawn darkness, knowing his next shot would either save his platoon or prove everyone right about coffins. 28 years old. 5 weeks in Normandy. 7 confirmed kills. 0 margin for error. The Germans had sent a full company to prepare a counterattack. Caldwell's platoon sat 400 yards behind him, unaware that by 0600 hours, German infantry would be advancing straight toward their position. The smell of wet oak filled Caldwell's nose. His legs were cramped in fetal position against sandbags. His M1903 Springfield lay across his knees. He'd been inside the barrel for 6 hours. His back ached. His feet were numb. But he didn't move. Through the 4-inch firing port at ground level, he watched German officers studying maps. Watched NCOs organizing soldiers into assault formations. Counted approximately 80 to 90 men. Range, 150 yards. Perfect distance for the Springfield. Wind, minimal. Temperature, 54 degrees, humid. First light would break in 3 minutes. Standard sniper doctrine said fire 1 shot, relocate immediately. But relocating through Normandy hedgerows took time. Time the Germans never gave you. Time that had killed 23 American snipers in 6 weeks. Caldwell knew the pattern. First shot fired, 30 seconds until German counter-snipers triangulate your position. 2 minutes 40 seconds until mortar rounds land on top of you. But the Germans couldn't triangulate what they couldn't see. And nobody looked twice at rain barrels. The problem wasn't that American snipers couldn't shoot. The problem was they couldn't survive long enough to shoot twice. By July 1944, the 2nd Infantry Division had lost 23 snipers in 6 weeks. 23 funerals. 23 letters sent home. All killed the same way. Fire 1 shot. German counter-snipers triangulate muzzle flash and sound. Mortar saturation or 3-man hunter teams arrive within 3 minutes. American sniper caught relocating through hedgerows. American sniper dies. The bocage terrain of Normandy was killing Allied snipers faster than German bullets. The hedgerows were ancient walls of earth and vegetation, sometimes 10 feet high, sometimes 15. They'd been growing for centuries. Roots tangled into soil like concrete. Vegetation so thick you couldn't see 3 feet into it. The hedgerows created natural corridors, limited sight lines. Snipers had to position close to German lines, often 200 to 300 yards, to get clear shots. That proximity meant exposure. Muzzle flash visible, sound echoing off hedgerow walls, and the slightest movement after the first shot gave away your position. German counter-snipers were experienced, methodical, patient. They'd been fighting since 1939. They'd learned to triangulate American sniper positions within 30 to 45 seconds of the first shot. Then they'd call in mortars, 81mm rounds, 6 to 8 shells saturating a 30-yard radius. Or they'd send 3-man hunter teams, 1 spotter, 2 shooters. They'd watch for movement during relocation. Then they'd kill you. American doctrine emphasized mobility. Shoot and move. Fire 1 shot from position A, relocate to position B before the enemy responds. Sound doctrine. It worked in open terrain, North Africa, Italy. But Normandy hedgerows weren't open terrain. Moving through hedgerows was slow, loud, obvious. Every step rustled vegetation. Every movement silhouetted against sky. German hunters waited for that movement, watched for it. And when they saw it, they fired. Statistics told the story. Average survival time after first shot, 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Caldwell had seen the intelligence reports. 23 snipers killed between June 6th and July 30th. All caught during relocation, all following doctrine exactly as trained, all dead anyway. The doctrinal paradox was clear. Mobility doctrine meets immobile terrain. Result? Dead snipers. Thomas Caldwell was from Pike County, Kentucky, Appalachian hill country, where staying invisible meant eating. His father had taught him to hunt white-tailed deer in hollows so steep you had to climb to shoot downward. His grandfather had taught him patience. Sit in one spot for 8 hours, if necessary. Let the deer come to you. Before the war, Caldwell had taken 200-yard shots on whitetails using natural blinds, fallen logs, rock outcroppings, creek beds. He understood something most snipers didn't. The best hide wasn't the one you built. It was the one already there, the one that belonged to the landscape, the one nobody looked at twice because it was supposed to be there. Deer looked for shapes that didn't belong, straight lines, unnatural colors, human silhouettes. But they walked past fallen logs every day, past rocks, past creek bends. Those things were invisible because they were expected. Caldwell figured German countersnipers worked the same way. He'd enlisted Army in December 1941, 2 weeks after Pearl Harbor. Infantry training at Camp Walters, Texas. He'd scored expert marksmen on every range. His company commander noticed, sent him to sniper school at Fort Benning, Georgia. 4 weeks of advanced marksmanship, camouflage techniques, range estimation, windage calculation, relocation drills. The relocation drills emphasized speed, fire, move, fire again from new position. Instructors timed everything. You had 90 seconds to relocate 200 yards. If you took longer, you failed the exercise. The doctrine was clear. Mobility equals survival. Caldwell graduated second in his class, not because of accuracy, because of speed. He deployed to England in April 1944. Landed Normandy June 15th with the 2nd Infantry Division. 9 days after D-Day. The beaches were secure, the hedgerows were not. His first kill came June 18th. German machine gunner at 230 yards, clean chest shot. Caldwell relocated immediately, moved 150 yards through hedgerows, took 4 minutes. German mortars hit his original position 90 seconds after he left. He heard the explosions, saw the smoke, understood he'd survived by following doctrine exactly. Second kill, June 22nd. German officer at 180 yards, headshot, relocated. 3 minutes to move 200 yards. German hunter team arrived at his original position. He watched them through his scope from his new hide. 3 soldiers. They examined the ground, looked for tracks, found his firing position. Then they spread out to search the hedgerows. Caldwell waited until they left. Then he moved again. 7 kills in 5 weeks. 7 successful relocations, 3 close calls. Twice, German mortars landed within 50 yards of his position. Once, a hunter team passed within 30 yards while he hid motionless in a drainage ditch. But Caldwell had also watched 2 friends die, both following doctrine, both killed anyway. Corporal James Whitlock died July 12th, Kentucky boy from Caldwell's home county. They'd gone through basic training together, shipped to England on the same transport, landed on the same beach. Whitlock was 23 years old, married, wife pregnant. He carried her photo in his helmet liner. July 12th, Whitlock took position in a hedgerow overlooking a German supply route. He waited 4 hours for a target. At 13:15 hours, a German officer appeared. Mercedes staff car. Officer studying maps in the back seat. Whitlock made the shot. 250 yards. Officer dead before he hit the seat. Whitlock followed doctrine. Started relocating immediately. 90 seconds later, German mortars saturated his hedgerow. 6 rounds, 81 millimeter, direct hit on Whitlock's position. Caldwell was 300 yards away, heard it happen over the radio, heard Whitlock call in the kill, heard him say he was moving, heard the explosion. Then nothing. They found Whitlock's body that evening. Shrapnel had killed him instantly. He'd made it 40 yards from his firing position. 40 yards in 90 seconds. Not fast enough. The doctrine said move immediately. He'd moved immediately. He died anyway. Sergeant Robert Chen died July 28th. Experienced sniper. 14 confirmed kills. Chen had taught Caldwell advanced holdover techniques. How to calculate bullet drop at extreme range, how to read wind from vegetation movement, how to breathe during trigger squeeze. Chen was careful, methodical, never took unnecessary risks. On July 28th, he established a hide position in a destroyed barn. Perfect concealment, clear sight lines, multiple escape routes. He waited 6 hours for his target. At 16:30 hours, a German patrol appeared. Chen shot the point man, 190 yards, perfect shot. Then he relocated. Chen had 3 escape routes planned. He took the eastern route through a hedgerow gap. A German hunter team was waiting. They'd predicted his movement. 3 Germans positioned along his escape route. They let him walk into their ambush. Then they killed him. American patrol found Chen's body the next morning. 3 bullet wounds, chest, shoulder, head. The Germans had left him where he fell, left his rifle, left his equipment. They wanted Americans to find him, wanted other snipers to see what happened when you followed predictable patterns. Caldwell studied Chen's death, studied the ambush site, understood what had happened. The Germans hadn't triangulated Chen's position. They'd predicted his relocation route. They knew American snipers would move after shooting, knew they'd take the most concealed route. So they'd positioned hunter teams along likely escape paths. Then they'd waited. Chen had followed doctrine perfectly. He'd relocated immediately, used available concealment, moved tactically, everything by the book. He died because the Germans had read the same book. That night, Caldwell sat in his tent cleaning his rifle. He thought about Whitlock caught by mortars during relocation. Thought about Chen ambushed during escape. Thought about 23 dead snipers in 6 weeks, all following doctrine, all dead. The doctrine wasn't wrong. The doctrine just didn't account for terrain that made mobility impossible. Didn't account for an enemy who'd learned to predict American movement patterns. Didn't account for the fundamental problem. You can't outrun mortars in hedgerows. Caldwell realized something that night. The doctrine said survive through mobility. But what if you survived by never moving at all? What if you positioned in a hide the enemy would never suspect? A hide so obvious, so benign, so expected that Germans would walk past it without looking? What if you became invisible by hiding in plain sight? He thought about Kentucky. Thought about natural blinds. Thought about fallen logs that deer ignored because logs were supposed to be there. And he thought about Normandy farmhouses. Thought about the objects that surrounded every building. Objects so common nobody noticed them. Rain barrels. Every Norman farmhouse had them. Wooden barrels positioned against walls to catch rainwater. Waist high, cylindrical, positioned near corners for maximum water collection. The Germans saw rain barrels every day, walked past them, ignored them. Too common. Too obviously civilian. Too benign to pose any tactical threat. Caldwell saw something else. A pre-positioned hide that Germans would never suspect. A firing platform with 360-degree rotation capability. Sound dampening, muzzle flash concealment. and zero need for relocation, because the enemy would never identify it as a threat. It violated every principle of sniper doctrine. No mobility, no escape route, no ability to evade if spotted. One rain barrel in one location. Commit to the position. Live or die based on concealment alone. Other snipers would call it suicide. Officers would call it reckless. Instructors would say it contradicted every lesson taught at sniper school. But 23 dead snipers in 6 weeks suggested maybe the lessons needed reconsidering. Caldwell decided to build a rain barrel hide. Test it. See if invisibility through obviousness could beat mobility through hedgerows. Either it would work, or he'd prove everyone right about coffins. Because sometimes survival meant staying still, while everything in your training screamed at you to move. At 19:30 hours on July 30th, 1944, Caldwell sat in the ruins of an abandoned Norman farmhouse 300 yards behind American lines, watching German patrols move through the valley below. He was there to observe, to count enemy positions, to map patrol routes for intelligence. But what he saw changed everything. A rain barrel stood against the farmhouse wall 15 yards from his position. Oak construction, 3 feet tall, 2 feet in diameter, dark with age and weather. Water-stained, moss growing on the north side. It looked like every other rain barrel in Normandy. Perfectly ordinary, perfectly invisible. Caldwell watched 3 German soldiers walk past the barrel. They were close, maybe 20 yards. Patrol moving through the farmyard. Point man scanning hedgerows. Second man watching windows. Third man covering rear. Standard patrol discipline. None of them looked at the rain barrel. They walked past it like it didn't exist. Like it was part of the landscape. Expected, benign, not worth a glance. Caldwell counted 6 more German patrols over the next 2 hours. All moved through the same farmyard. All walked within 30 yards of the rain barrel. 0 soldiers looked at it. 0 soldiers paused. 0 soldiers considered it might be a threat. He started counting rain barrels in the visible farmhouses. 8 barrels within 500 yards, all positioned against walls, all catching rainwater, all completely ignored by German patrols moving through the area. The mental connection formed, invisible in plain sight. Hide that requires no relocation because the enemy never suspects it exists. Caldwell thought about deer walking past fallen logs, thought about natural blinds that worked because they belonged to the landscape, thought about the fundamental problem with mobile sniping. Movement gets you killed. What if you never moved? What if you positioned inside something so ordinary that Germans would walk past it every day without looking? Something they expected to see. Something their brains categorized as civilian, harmless, irrelevant. A rain barrel wasn't a tactical object, wasn't cover, wasn't concealment in the military sense. It was furniture, landscape, background noise. The human brain filtered it out automatically. Caldwell realized that was exactly what made it perfect. He left the farmhouse at 2100 hours, walked back to American lines, spent the rest of the night thinking about how to build a hide inside a rain barrel, how to cut firing ports without destroying structural integrity, how to reinforce interior walls, how to create false water surface that looked authentic from outside, how to fit a man and a rifle inside 36 inches of oak. By 0200 hours on July 31st, he had a plan. By 0600 hours, he was building it. Caldwell worked behind American lines in a bombed-out barn. The structure provided concealment from German observation. The roof was half collapsed, but 3 walls still stood. Good enough. He'd gathered materials during the night. 1 oak rain barrel from abandoned farmhouse, 36 inches tall, 24 inches diameter. 6 sandbags from supply depot, 1 canvas sheet, wood saw, hammer, nails, small hand drill. The barrel was heavy, maybe 60 pounds empty. He rolled it into the barn at 02:15 hours. Step 1. Cut the firing port. Caldwell measured 4 inches from the bottom, marked a rectangle, 4 inches wide, 2 inches tall. He used the saw carefully. The cuts had to be clean. Splinters would catch fabric. Rough edges would be visible from outside. He worked slowly. The saw made noise. Germans were 800 yards away. He paused frequently to listen. The firing port took 30 minutes to cut. When he finished, he had a 4 by 2 inch opening at ground level. Perfect height for prone shooting. Perfect size for rifle barrel clearance without excessive exposure. Step 2. Interior reinforcement. The oak was thick, maybe 1 inch. That would stop pistol rounds, maybe. But German counter-snipers used Mauser K98s, 7.92 millimeter. That round would punch through oak like paper. Caldwell stacked sandbags inside the barrel. Positioned them to create a protective layer between his body and incoming fire. Left 18 inches of interior space. Just enough room for a man in fetal position. The sandbags added weight. The barrel now weighed approximately 120 pounds. He tested the interior space, climbed in, tucked his knees to his chest, positioned his Springfield. It fit. Barely. No room for movement, no room for adjustment. You committed to one position and stayed there. Claustrophobic. Uncomfortable. Perfect. Step 3. False water surface. Germans needed to see water when they looked at the barrel. Empty barrel would be suspicious. But Caldwell couldn't sit in actual water for hours. He'd freeze, lose circulation, become combat ineffective. He stretched canvas across the barrel 6 inches below the rim, created a false floor, secured it with nails around the interior circumference. The canvas was tight, drumhead tight. He poured water on top, maybe 2 inches of actual water sitting on the canvas. From above, it looked like a rain barrel half full of water. Underneath the canvas, empty space, room for a man. Step 4. Camouflage and authenticity. Caldwell added debris to the water surface. Leaves, twigs, small amount of mud. Made it look like rainwater that had been sitting for weeks. Organic material floating on top. Natural, expected. He drilled ventilation holes near the base. Small diameter, 1/4 inch. Positioned them to look like wood knots. 4 holes total. Provided airflow. Prevented carbon dioxide buildup during extended occupation. Step 5. Rotation mechanism. Caldwell built a wooden platform, circular, 26 inches diameter. Set the barrel on top. The platform could rotate 180 degrees. That gave him ability to track targets without repositioning the entire barrel. Smooth rotation. Quiet. No metal parts to squeak. Total construction time, 4 hours. Total weight, including sandbags, water, and platform, 180 pounds. He sat back and looked at his work. From outside, it was a rain barrel. Weathered. Water-stained. Debris floating on surface. Positioned against the barn wall like it had been there for years. From inside, it was a sniper hide that violated every principle taught at Fort Benning. No mobility, no escape route, no backup plan. One position, one chance. Live or die based on whether Germans looked at rain barrels. Caldwell knew what other snipers would say, knew what officers would say, knew what instructors would say. They'd call it suicide. At 1400 hours on August 1st, Caldwell demonstrated his rain barrel hide for the sniper section. 8 snipers attended. Captain Williams commanded. Williams was regular Army, 26 years old, sniper qualified, 12 confirmed kills before taking command position. Caldwell positioned the barrel in an open field, climbed inside, showed the firing port, demonstrated the rotation capability, explained the sandbag reinforcement and false water surface. The snipers walked around the barrel, examined it from different angles, looked down into the water, saw leaves and debris floating on the canvas surface. It looked authentic. Williams asked the obvious question. What happens if they spot you? They won't, Caldwell said. But if they do, then I die. Same as if I got caught relocating through hedgerows. Sergeant Davis spoke up. Davis was 31, veteran of North Africa. 11 confirmed kills in Normandy. He'd survived longer than most. He looked at the barrel for a long time. Then he said what everyone was thinking. It's a coffin with a peephole. Another sniper, Corporal Thompson, agreed. One grenade and you're done. Can't evade, can't retreat. Just sitting there waiting to get killed. No different than any other hide, Caldwell said. Except this one they won't look for. Williams walked around the barrel again. He was thinking, calculating, weighing doctrine against results. 23 snipers dead in 6 weeks. Maybe doctrine needed reconsidering. It violates every principle, Williams said. No mobility, no escape. You're betting everything on concealment. Yes, sir. What if concealment fails? Doctrine says relocate after every shot. Relocation is killing us. Maybe staying still is better than moving. Davis shook his head. You get spotted in that thing, you're not a sniper. You're a target in a barrel. Germans walk past rain barrels every day, Caldwell said. Watched them do it last night. 3 patrols. None looked twice. Williams considered this. Thought about Whitlock killed during relocation. Thought about Chen ambushed during escape. Thought about statistics that said mobile doctrine wasn't working in hedgerows. Interesting, Williams said. But untested. I can't approve field use without proof it works. Permission to test it on my own time, sir. Williams hesitated. If Caldwell died testing an unauthorized tactic, Williams would answer for it. But if Caldwell succeeded, if this rain barrel trick actually worked, it might save lives. Your funeral, Sergeant, Williams said finally. Test it. Come back alive. Then we'll talk about doctrine changes. The other snipers were already calling it Caldwell's coffin. The name spread through the company by evening. By the next morning, every rifleman in the battalion knew Caldwell was building a death trap disguised as a rain barrel. Nobody thought it would work. On August 3rd at 2300 hours, intelligence reported German company movement near St. Lo. Enemy preparing counterattack. Dawn assault likely. American positions directly in attack path. Caldwell's platoon would be in the kill zone. He volunteered for forward observation. Solo mission. Position close to German lines. Report enemy movement. Call in coordinates for artillery. Williams approved the mission. Didn't ask what Caldwell planned to bring for concealment. Didn't need to ask. At 23:30 hours, 2 soldiers helped Caldwell carry the rain barrel 600 yards forward. They moved slowly. The barrel weighed 180 pounds. Required 2 men on each side. They stayed low, stayed quiet. German lines were close. Final position, corner of bombed-out farmhouse. 150 yards from German assembly area. Slight elevation. Clear sight lines to valley below. Escape route through rubble if needed. The soldiers positioned the barrel against the farmhouse wall. It looked natural, expected, like it had been there before the bombing. They left Caldwell at 01:30 hours on August 4th. Caldwell entered the barrel at 0200 hours, tucked himself into fetal position, Springfield across his knees. 50 rounds of ammunition. Water canteen. Compass. Watch. He settled in. The interior smelled like wet oak and canvas. His back pressed against sandbags. His legs cramped immediately. No room to stretch, no room to shift position. Just darkness and discomfort and waiting. Through the 4-inch firing port, he watched German soldiers moving in the darkness. Heard orders shouted in German. Heard equipment rattling. Watched the company assemble. Counted approximately 80 to 90 men. The Germans walked past his barrel 3 times during the night. Close passes, maybe 20 yards. None looked at it. None paused. None suspected. By 0540 hours, first light was breaking. German officers studied maps. NCOs organized assault formations. The attack would start soon. Caldwell checked his Springfield, chambered a round, settled his breathing, positioned his eye to the firing port. Either this worked, or everyone was right about coffins. At 0542 hours, he was about to find out. Between 0200 hours and 0542 hours, Caldwell sat motionless inside the rain barrel. 3 hours, 42 minutes. His legs lost feeling after the first hour. His back screamed against the sandbags after the second hour. By the third hour, he'd stopped noticing discomfort. His entire focus narrowed to the 4-inch firing port and the Germans assembling in the valley. The sounds came first. Voices speaking German, orders shouted, equipment rattling, boots on dirt, vehicle engines in the distance. The company was gathering, preparing, organizing for the dawn assault that would hit Caldwell's platoon at 0600 hours. Through the firing port, he watched shadows move in pre-dawn darkness. Couldn't identify targets yet. Couldn't distinguish officers from enlisted. Just shapes. Movement. The rough outline of a company organizing into assault formation. He counted approximately 80 to 90 soldiers, maybe more. Hard to tell in darkness. They were close. 150 yards, he could hear individual conversations. Couldn't understand German, but he recognized the tones. NCOs giving orders, soldiers acknowledging, officers planning, standard pre-assault routine. Caldwell's Springfield lay across his knees. Safety on. Round chambered. 50 additional rounds in cloth bandolier across his chest. His breathing was slow, controlled. Hunter's breathing, the kind his father taught him in Kentucky hollows. Breathe from your belly. Keep your heart rate down. Stay calm. The temperature inside the barrel was 54 degrees, humid. His uniform was damp from condensation on the oak interior. His hands were dry. That mattered. Wet hands slip on rifle stocks. He kept them tucked under his armpits between position checks, kept them warm, kept them ready. At 0500 hours, German activity increased. More soldiers arriving, more equipment. He heard vehicle engines, trucks dropping off troops. The assault force was consolidating, getting ready. At 0520 hours, officers appeared. Caldwell could distinguish them now. First light creeping over the horizon, enough illumination to see uniforms, see rank insignia, see maps being studied. 3 officers, 2 NCOs, standing in a cluster, planning, pointing at map positions, pointing toward American lines. Caldwell watched them through his rifle scope. The scope was a Unertl 8-power, mounted on his M1903 Springfield. He'd zeroed it at 200 yards. At 150 yards, he'd need to hold slightly low, maybe 2 inches. He calculated windage. Wind was minimal. Dawn air always calm, maybe 2 miles per hour from the east. Negligible effect at this range. At 0530 hours, the sun touched the horizon. Golden light spread across the valley. Caldwell could see everything now. German soldiers in Feldgrau uniforms, officers in distinctive caps, NCOs with map cases, machine gun crews setting up MG-42s, mortar teams assembling tubes. This wasn't just a company. This was a reinforced company. Maybe 120 soldiers total. His platoon had 38 men. They were 400 yards behind him, dug in, expecting German patrol activity, not expecting a reinforced company assault. If Caldwell didn't stop this, his platoon would be overrun in 30 minutes. At 05:42 hours, the sun cleared the horizon fully. Perfect light. Clear sight picture. Time to work. Caldwell selected his first target. German officer, maybe captain, standing with map, pointing toward American positions. Range 150 yards, slight downward angle. Wind negligible. Hold 2 inches low for range. He clicked the safety off. Exhaled half his breath, held it, pressed the trigger. The Springfield kicked into his shoulder. The muzzle blast echoed inside the barrel, but the oak walls and false water surface above dampened the sound. From outside, it probably sounded like a distant shot. Muffled. Directionless. The German officer dropped. Center mass hit. He fell backward. Map fluttered to the ground. The other Germans froze. 2 seconds of confusion. Scanning for threat. Looking at hedgerows. Looking at destroyed buildings. Looking at tree lines. Nobody looked at the rain barrel. Caldwell chambered the next round. The bolt action was smooth, quiet. He'd maintained this rifle for 6 months, knew every component. The action cycled like silk. 8 seconds after the first shot, he fired again. Second target, NCO shouting orders. Range, 165 yards. The NCO was moving. Caldwell led him by 2 feet, squeezed. The round caught him in the chest. He went down. German soldiers scattered, running for cover, diving behind equipment. The discipline was good. They were reacting properly. Taking defensive positions, scanning for the sniper. But they were scanning the wrong places. Caldwell waited. 45 seconds. Let them settle. Let them think the shooting stopped. Let them start believing the sniper relocated. 2 soldiers moved together toward a hedgerow. Running, staying low, good tactical movement. Caldwell tracked the lead soldier. Range 140 yards, moving target. He led by 3 feet. Fired. The soldier dropped. Chambered the next round. The second soldier froze. Fatal mistake. Never stop moving when someone's shooting at you. Caldwell fired again. 4 seconds between shots. Second soldier down. 4 Germans dead in 90 seconds. The company was in defensive chaos. Officers shouting, soldiers taking cover, machine gun crews scanning for targets. But nobody identified the source. German counter-sniper protocol initiated at 05:45 hours. Caldwell watched 3 soldiers move with purpose. Counter-sniper team. 1 carried binoculars. 2 carried Mauser rifles. They were systematic, professional. They scanned hedgerows first. Standard sniper position. They glassed every gap, every shadow, every potential hide. Negative contact. They scanned the destroyed buildings next. Looked for movement in windows. Looked for muzzle flash signatures. Looked for anything tactical. Negative contact. They scanned the tree line 300 yards north. Good position for long-range shooting. They spent 2 minutes examining trees. Negative contact. The counter-sniper team leader called for mortars. At 05:47 hours, German mortars opened fire. 6 rounds, 81 millimeter. They saturated the hedgerow 200 yards left of Caldwell's position. The explosions were close. He felt the concussion through the ground, felt the barrel vibrate slightly. But the mortars were hitting wrong coordinates. The Germans were guessing, shooting at likely positions, not actual positions. The barrage lasted 30 seconds. Smoke drifted across the valley. German soldiers waited for the sniper to be suppressed, waited to resume their assault preparation. At 05:49 hours, they started moving again. Caldwell resumed fire. Target 5, soldier carrying ammunition. Range 155 yards, chest shot, clean kill. Target 6, radio man with backpack antenna. Range 170 yards, back shot. The radio exploded. The man went down. Target 7, soldier attempting to recover the dead officer's map. Range 145 yards. He'd just reached the body when Caldwell's round hit him. He collapsed across the officer. 3 shots in 12 seconds. 7 Germans dead total. The company was panicking now. Officers couldn't organize. NCOs couldn't rally. Soldiers were pinned down by a sniper they couldn't locate. The discipline was breaking. Counter-sniper teams tried again. More systematic scanning. More deliberate. They were confused. They'd triangulated based on sound. But the sound was muffled, directionless, echoing off hedgerows and buildings. They calculated 3 possible source locations, all wrong. More mortars at 05:52 hours. This time they hit multiple locations. Hedgerow north, destroyed barn east, tree line west. Bracketing fire, trying to saturate anywhere a sniper could hide. 1 mortar round landed 40 yards from Caldwell. Close. Shrapnel hit the farmhouse wall. Pieces. Stone flew. 1 piece hit the rain barrel, punched a small hole near the rim, above the waterline, above Caldwell's head. The barrel rocked from the blast wave, tilted slightly. Caldwell grabbed the interior sides, held it steady, kept it from tipping. The rotation platform held. The barrel settled back into position. He waited through the barrage. 20 seconds of explosions, then silence. Then he started killing again. Target 8. Officer attempting to organize retreat. Range 160 yards. Caldwell watched him gather soldiers, watched him point toward cover positions, waited until he was standing still. Shot him in the chest. He dropped. Target 9, machine gunner, setting up defensive position. Range 155 yards. The gunner was assembling his MG-42. Caldwell shot him before he loaded the first belt. The machine gun sat unused. Targets 10 and 11. 2 soldiers carrying a wounded man. Range 140 yards. Caldwell hesitated. Medics and wounded were off limits. But these weren't medics. They were soldiers moving toward cover, using the wounded man as tactical movement. Caldwell made the choice. 2 shots, both soldiers down. The wounded man lay where they dropped him. Target 12, radio man calling for support. Range 175 yards, long shot. Caldwell held 3 inches low, squeezed, hit. The radio man fell. The radio went silent. Target 13, NCO rallying soldiers. Range 150 yards. The NCO was brave, standing, shouting, trying to restore order. Caldwell shot him mid-sentence. Targets 14, 15, 16, 3 soldiers making a break for the hedgerow. Range 145 yards. They ran together. Tactical movement, staying low, fast. Caldwell tracked the lead soldier, fired, chambered, tracked second, fired, chambered, tracked third, fired. 3 shots in 8 seconds, all 3 down. 16 Germans dead. The company broke, not retreating tactically, running, fleeing. The discipline collapsed completely. Soldiers abandoned equipment, abandoned wounded, abandoned the assault plan. They ran for the hedgerows, ran for cover, ran away from the valley where an invisible sniper was killing them, one by one. At 06:08 hours, the last German soldier disappeared into the hedgerows. The valley was empty except for bodies. 16 bodies. German equipment scattered. Maps, radios, machine guns, abandoned. Caldwell remained in the barrel, safety on, waiting. This could be a trick. Germans could be watching, waiting for him to emerge, waiting to see where the sniper had been hiding. He stayed motionless for 20 more minutes, watched through the firing port. Nobody returned. Nobody investigated. The Germans were gone. At 06:30 hours, American patrol reached his position. Lieutenant Morrison led 8 soldiers. They'd heard the shooting, came to investigate, found Caldwell's position, found the rain barrel against the farmhouse wall. Morrison approached carefully, called out, "Caldwell, you alive in there?" "Yes, sir." "You can come out now." Caldwell pushed up on the false canvas water surface, climbed out of the barrel. His legs barely worked. 6 hours cramped in fetal position. He collapsed against the farmhouse wall. Couldn't stand. His legs were numb from hip to ankle. Morrison looked at him, looked at the barrel, looked at the valley full of German bodies. "How many?" Morrison asked. 17 shots, 16 hits. Morrison counted bodies through binoculars, counted twice to be sure. 16 Germans scattered across the assembly area. Officers, NCOs, enlisted, machine gunners, radio men. "They never found you," Morrison said. "No, sir. They mortared everything except the barrel." "Yes, sir." Morrison walked around the rain barrel, examined it from different angles. Saw the small shrapnel hole near the rim. Saw the false water surface with debris floating on top. Saw the 4-inch firing port at ground level. He looked at Caldwell. "This shouldn't have worked." "No, sir. But it did." "Yes, sir." At 0700 hours, Captain Williams arrived. He'd heard the radio reports. Company strength German assault completely disrupted. 16 enemy casualties. 0 American casualties. German counterattack canceled. Williams examined the barrel, examined the bodies, examined Caldwell. 17 shots, 16 hits, 6 hours in a rain barrel. Germans walked past you 3 times during the night and never looked. "Yes, sir." Williams was quiet for a long time. Then he asked the question that would change American sniper doctrine for the rest of the war. "How many more of these can you build?" By 1400 hours on August 5th, the 2nd Infantry Division Sniper Section had built 6 additional rain barrel hides. Captain Williams ordered immediate fabrication following Caldwell's success. Every available sniper studied the design, measured the firing port dimensions, examined the sandbag reinforcement pattern, tested the false water surface construction. Sergeant Davis built the first replica. He added internal ammunition racks. Small wooden shelves attached to the interior walls, held 50 rounds organized by range, 200 yard loads on the left, 150 yard loads on the right. The modification added functionality without changing exterior appearance. Corporal Thompson built the second. He installed a quick-release escape hatch in the bottom, hinged panel that opened downward. If Germans discovered the hide, Thompson could drop through the bottom and crawl away through rubble. The hatch added survival option without compromising concealment. Sergeant Martinez built the third. He developed camouflage patterns, different stains for different farm settings, fresh oak for recently abandoned buildings, weathered gray for older structures, moss patterns for north-facing positions. Each barrel matched its environment perfectly. By August 8th, 8 rain barrel positions were deployed across the division's front. Each sniper selected his own location, each positioned within 200 yards of German lines. Each waited for targets. The results came fast. Davis. 3 kills, August 8th. German patrol crossing open ground, range 170 yards, no counter-sniper response. Germans never located his position. Thompson. 2 kills, August 9th. German officers planning operation, range 160 yards. Both officers down before their guards reacted. Thompson remained in barrel 4 hours after shooting. Germans mortared the wrong hedgerow. Martinez. 4 kills, August 10th. German machine gun crew setting up defensive position. Martinez eliminated gunner, assistant gunner, and 2 ammunition bearers. Range 145 yards. The machine gun sat unmanned for 3 hours before Germans recovered it. Between August 8th and August 15th, 8 rain barrel positions produced 47 confirmed German kills, 0 American sniper casualties, 0 barrels discovered, 0 counter-sniper successes. The survival rate improvement was impossible to ignore. In June and July, before rain barrel tactics, the 2nd Infantry Division averaged 3.8 sniper casualties per week. In the 2 weeks following Caldwell's August 4th success, 0 casualties. Kill efficiency increased dramatically. June-July average, 2.9 enemy kills per sniper per week. August 8 through 15, 5.8 kills per sniper per week. Double the effectiveness, 0 losses. Captain Williams compiled the statistics, wrote a formal report. Title: Stationary Hide Sniper Tactics Using Indigenous Materials. He attached casualty comparisons. Kill efficiency data, survival rate analysis, sent it to Division Intelligence on August 20th. The recommendation was clear. Immediate adoption across all infantry divisions in Normandy. But the Germans were learning too. Japanese intelligence noticed patterns first. After-action reports from German units engaged in Normandy showed consistent themes. American snipers no longer relocating after shots. Sniper fire originating from static positions, unable to identify source despite counter-sniper protocols. By late August, German commanders began systematic analysis. They studied attack reports, compiled engagement data, noticed American snipers were killing more Germans while sustaining fewer casualties. Something had changed. German counter-sniper teams received new orders. Examine all stationary objects. Question everything that appears civilian. Shoot suspicious items preemptively. On September 3rd, near Mortar, a German patrol found an abandoned rain barrel hide. The Americans had evacuated the position after completing their mission. Left the barrel behind. German soldiers examined it. Found the firing port. Found the sandbag reinforcement. Found the false water surface. Understood immediately what Americans were doing. German intelligence issued warning to all forward units. American snipers using civilian objects as hides. Rain barrels confirmed. Check all farm equipment. Check all common objects. Assume anything stationary is potentially hostile. German countermeasures began immediately. Patrols shot suspected barrels preemptively. 3 round bursts from Mauser rifles. If the barrel contained a sniper, problem solved. If it was actually a rain barrel, no harm done. Better to waste ammunition than lose soldiers to invisible snipers. German engineers used explosives on suspicious objects. Hand grenades tossed into barrels from safe distance. Panzerfaust rounds shot at suspicious farm equipment. Anything that could hide a man got destroyed. German hunter teams began watching rain barrels specifically, setting up observation posts, watching barrels for hours, waiting for movement. Any sign of occupation meant immediate mortar fire. On September 10th, Sergeant Davis died. He'd positioned his rain barrel hide near a farmhouse outside Brest. German patrol discovered it. Davis had been in position 6 hours. 3 confirmed kills. He was reloading when Germans approached. They'd been watching the barrel for 2 hours. Saw slight movement through the firing port. They opened fire from 30 yards. Concentrated rifle fire. 20 rounds hit the barrel in 5 seconds. The oak held against most rounds, but one punched through a gap between sandbags, hit Davis in the shoulder. He tried to exit through Thompson's quick-release escape hatch. Germans shot him as he emerged. Davis was the first rain barrel casualty. First sniper killed using the tactic. It had worked for 5 weeks, 37 days, longer than most sniper tactics survived once the enemy understood them. American snipers adapted immediately. The rain barrel tactic had been compromised. Germans now watched for them. New approach required. Caldwell led the innovation. If Germans now looked for rain barrels, use different objects. The principle remained valid. Hide in plain sight using objects Germans expected to see. Just diversify the objects. Water troughs, farm carts, hay bales, furniture, debris piles, destroyed equipment, anything common, anything expected, anything that belonged to the Norman landscape. The tactic evolved beyond rain barrels, became broader doctrine. Use indigenous materials, match environment, become invisible through obviousness. The statistics told the story. June through July, 1944. Traditional mobile sniper tactics. 23 American snipers killed, 67 confirmed enemy kills. Kill-to-loss ratio, 2.9 to 1. August through September 1944. Static hide tactics. 4 American snipers killed, 183 confirmed enemy kills. Kill-to-loss ratio, 45.75 to 1. The improvement was 16 times better survivability, 6 times better kill efficiency. Other divisions noticed. The 29th Infantry Division adopted rain barrel tactics in September. British snipers experimented with similar concepts in October. Canadian forces implemented static indigenous hide doctrine in November. By December, the tactic had spread across all Allied forces in Northwest Europe. Modern applications followed the same principle. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. American snipers used market stalls, trash piles, vehicle wreckage, destroyed buildings, any object common enough to be invisible, any position obvious enough to be ignored. The core concept never changed. Hide in plain sight using objects the enemy expects to see. Let their familiarity with terrain work against them. Thomas Caldwell's personal combat record ran from June 15th through November 8th, 1944. 4 months, 24 days. 49 confirmed kills. 0 wounds. 0 close calls after August 4th. He was promoted to Staff Sergeant on September 15th. Received Bronze Star on October 2nd. Citation read, "For exceptional valor and tactical innovation. August 4th, 1944, Saint-Lô, France." The citation didn't mention rain barrels, didn't mention 16 Germans killed from one position, just tactical innovation. Vague, bureaucratic, the way Army citations always read. Caldwell survived Normandy, survived Belgium, survived Germany. The war ended May 8th, 1945. He was 29 years old. He'd spent 336 days in combat. Walked away with Bronze Star, Purple Heart for minor shrapnel wound in December, and 49 confirmed kills. More importantly, he walked away alive. He returned to Pike County, Kentucky in October 1945. His father met him at the bus station. Didn't ask about the war, didn't ask about France. Just asked if Tommy wanted to go deer hunting next week. Caldwell said yes. He married Sarah Thompson in December 1945. Girl he'd known since high school. She'd waited 4 years. Wrote him letters every week during the war. He'd kept every letter. Carried them through France and Germany. Brought them home. Caldwell worked forestry service for 32 years. Managed timber operations in Daniel Boone National Forest. He was good at it. Understood trees, understood patience, understood waiting for the right moment. He never discussed the rain barrel tactic publicly. When veterans gathered, when someone asked about the war, he'd say he was a sniper, did his job, nothing special. If pressed, he'd talk about France, about hedgerows, about friends who died. But never details, never specific operations, never August 4th, 1944. His grandson found his medals in the attic in 2003. Bronze Star, Purple Heart, marksman badges, campaign ribbons. The grandson asked what they were for. Caldwell said, "Did what needed doing." Military historians discovered the rain barrel story through declassified 2nd Infantry Division after action reports in 2008. They traced Caldwell through veteran registries. Called him in 2009. He was 93 years old, still living in Pike County, still sharp. The historian asked about August 4th, 1944, about the rain barrel, about 16 Germans killed from one position. Caldwell confirmed the basic facts, said it wasn't genius, just common sense. Hide where they don't look. The historian asked how many lives the tactic saved. Caldwell said he never counted. Too many variables. Other snipers improved the design. Germans adapted. Tactics evolved. Impossible to calculate. But the historian calculated anyway. Based on casualty rate reductions, based on kill efficiency improvements, based on how many snipers survived using static hide tactics versus mobile doctrine. Conservative estimate, the rain barrel innovation and its descendants saved between 80 and 120 American sniper lives between August 1944 and May 1945. Caldwell listened to the estimate, didn't argue, didn't agree, just said, "I remember the ones who came back. That's enough." Thomas Caldwell died March 12, 1998. Age 82. Heart failure. Quick, peaceful. He was buried at Pine Ridge Cemetery, Pike County, Kentucky. His wife Sarah died 16 months later. They're buried side by side. His obituary ran in the Pikeville newspaper. 200 words. Veteran, forestry worker, devoted husband and father. It mentioned his Bronze Star. Mentioned he served in World War II. Didn't mention rain barrels. Didn't mention 49 kills. Didn't mention 16 Germans at dawn. Didn't mention tactical innovation that changed sniper doctrine. One photograph exists. Combat photographer captured it August 7th, 1944. Background of a different shot. Caldwell standing next to rain barrel, barely visible in the corner of the frame. He's not looking at the camera. Looking at something off frame. Not smiling. Never smiled for cameras. The rain barrel itself disappeared. Unknown location. Probably destroyed in combat or rotted away decades ago. No museum display. No preservation. Just oak and iron that served its purpose and returned to soil. But U.S. Army Sniper School at Fort Benning still teaches indigenous material concealment. Field Manual 2310 includes section on static hide construction. The principle Caldwell proved in a Norman farmyard at dawn. Use the enemy's familiarity with terrain against them. Hide in plain sight. Become invisible through obviousness. Modern snipers study the tactic, practice it, use it. They don't know Caldwell's name, don't know about August 4th, 1944. Don't know about 16 shots from a rain barrel, but they understand what he proved. Sometimes innovation isn't genius. It's seeing what's already there differently. It's questioning doctrine when doctrine is killing people. It's having the courage to hide in a barrel when everyone calls it suicide. Thomas Caldwell saved lives by staying still while everything in his training screamed at him to move. That's the story. That's the legacy, not medals, not glory. Just quiet courage and common sense that saved men who never knew his name. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more forgotten stories from World War II. Real soldiers, real innovation, real impact. Comment below and tell us where you're watching from. These men didn't fight for fame. They fought to survive, to protect their brothers, to go home. Thank you for making sure Thomas Caldwell's 16 shots at dawn aren't forgotten.